Easy. Joe's. They don't have any in Rhode Island. I think there's 6 Joe's nationwide, but there's none there. None in New England. So they haven't had an experience like Joe's yet, and they're going to love it. 702-792-9222 is the phone number to make your reservations. Don't forget, Joe's open for lunch at 11:30 each day as well. Ralph Michaels from WagerTalk with me, Dave Cokin. Ralph is the one who puts together these. He is a wealth of statistical information. As you can hear, we were previewing the AFC East teams. That's really good stuff to have in your arsenal. And Ralph comes up with an angle every day for us. What did you find on the Monday schedule? Does it apply to tonight's baseball?
It certainly does, and I usually try to do it unless it's a football play in advance. But, I would say the Cubs are in the above-average level. They're number 9. They're 54-45. But then I looked at the Cubs on the road or as a small away favorite of 120 or less. So when a small favorite or a dog, they are last in baseball, minus 12.6 units. They are only 9-22 as an away dog or a small away favorite in that role. So they've dominated as a big away favorite. They've dominated as a home favorite. But in this role as they are tonight, 9-22 this year, 29%.
And we will get to more on the Cubs and Giants because they're one of the 4 games we're going to talk about in today's Monday. MJ Christensen, 4 at 4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put the 4s up. Put the 4s up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
And the Rockies, they won a game yesterday. Finally, they beat the Yankees to salvage the finale of their series in the Bronx. They'll take on the Washington Nationals, who were just on fire, but maybe leveling off a little bit now. The Nationals are at home tonight in the favorites role with former UNLV star Eric Fetty on the mound. He'll be opposed by the Rockies rookie Peter Lambert. And one number that immediately kind of jumped out here was Lambert's home run to fly ball ratio. And Ralph, it's not good. It's about 25%. And that basically means when he gives up a fly ball, there's a better chance than there ought to be that it's going to leave the ballpark. Now, some of that, I'll grant you, is the fact that he pitches half the time in Coors. That'll inflate your home run to fly ball ratio, but it's still a bad ratio, and the Nationals will try and exploit that tonight. Eric Fetty, if you look at his numbers, doing pretty well first 2 times through the order. Not good after that. Indications that he either gets figured out or maybe he should be a relief pitcher. But right now he's in a starting role for the Nationals. Pretty good-sized favorite tonight. I think the Nationals probably the right side here, but priced a little high for my liking.
Agree with you. Lambert talking about that home run to fly ball ratio. It is a little bit slanted because 2 and 3 starts ago, he gave up a total of 6 home runs to the Astros and the Dodgers. He didn't give up a home run in his last start to the Giants. And you look at Fetty, they limited his pitch count last time. He had missed a month, and they limited him to 66 pitches, but in 6 innings gave up 1 run on 5 hits. The Nationals, as you said, have rotated wins and losses. They're 3 and 4 their last 7, so they're due for a win today in that situation. And I just think it's a game where, batting-wise, the Rockies and Nationals hitting about the same over the last 5 and 10 days. And I agree with you. The way the Nationals are playing, coming back from a long road trip, they played the Phillies, they played the Orioles, and then they played the A's. Those first teams back with no rest after the long road trips, I tend to look to play against them.
Cardinals and Pirates will match up tonight. Pirates are going in the wrong direction again, although they did get a good win on Saturday with Joe Musgrove on the mound. The Cardinals playing a little better lately. Matchup tonight has Ponce de Leon on the mound for St. Louis. Trevor Williams will pitch for the Pirates. Ponce de Leon really doesn't have great stuff. Okay, if you watch him, he's kind of a 2-pitch guy, and he's a relief pitcher. He's not a starting pitcher. He had been performing well as a starter, but his last start he got roughed up, and you wonder if that's the beginning of a regression. But before you run and bet the Pittsburgh side, boy, it's been a rough go this year for Trevor Williams. I know the Pirates have been winning his home starts. I believe they're 4-1 in his last 5 home starts, but it hasn't been because of Trevor Williams. They just scored a lot of runs for him. He isn't close to where he was in 2018, Ralph. He's had a rough season between injuries, illness, and just ineffectiveness, the three I's. His grade for 2019 is incomplete at best. I can't back Williams here. I don't like Ponce de Leon very much. I'm not an over and under player, but I have a tendency to think you might get some runs in this one.
Well, Pittsburgh's been an over team at home all year. We've known that. They're 30-14 at home, over under on the year. And we do have a hot team against the cold team. The Pirates 2-8 their last 10. The Cardinals 7-2 their last 9. You talked about Ponce de Leon. You know, he's making his 5th start. His whip is, he's got a 1.07 whip in 5 starts.
But the last one was not good.
His last one was not good, and here's what concerns me. The last one was against these same Pirates at home. Lasted 3 2/3, 4 earned run, 8 hits. So then you flip it around and you think, well, the Cubs pitcher probably faced the Pirates, but he did in his last start. He missed that series. So while one team, one offense is facing a pitcher back-to-back starts, that's not the case for Trevor Williams. And you mentioned Trevor Williams' 4-1 record. That 4-1 record at home in his 5 starts with a 6.37 ERA and a 1.42 WHIP. I agree with you on the over, Dave.
By the way, Pirates get a little boost tonight. Keone Keller, a good setup man who has been basically injured the entire season. He was not healthy coming out of spring training and struggled. He's had a lot of time off. He's activated for tonight's game. At least on paper, that gives the Pirates a little bit of a plus at the back end of their bullpen. He's a good setup man for Vasquez.
One thing I didn't mention about Trevor Williams, the reason he didn't face the Pirates in that last series, his starts got pushed back 2 days because of flu-like symptoms. So he was sick. They now say he's ready to go. We'll see what happens. If perhaps you see him struggle early and you didn't jump on that over, you might want to do it quickly if he's going to struggle.
Got some good series opening up tonight. One of them is in the American League East as the Red Sox and Rays match up down at the Slop. Look, the Rays have fallen behind in the wild card, so they need wins. The Red Sox obviously need wins, but they're just not putting it together. They just lost the series to the Orioles. You can't do that. It's been a rough year for Boston, but one thing is business as usual for the Red Sox, and that's when Eduardo Rodriguez is on the mound. The Red Sox win the game. 15-5 this year for Boston, and Rodriguez's 20 starts. 34-9 the last 2 seasons. When Rodriguez is on the mound, you don't go against this guy. It's as simple as that. The downside is, and it's small sample, but he's had a couple of starts in Tampa where he got destroyed. So he has not pitched well in this ballpark, and Boston's not a good baseball team right now. Jalen Beeks will be on the mound for the Rays. It kind of looks like the Rays might be scrapping their opener system. They get ahead of everybody else when it comes to doing things, and maybe they think it's run its course because Beeks generally is the primary pitcher after Ryan Stanek throws the first inning or two. But apparently Beeks is going to start tonight, and we haven't seen an opener for the Rays in, I think, about a week now. So it might be that they feel it's run its course and they're going in another direction. Beeks, of course, used to pitch for the Boston Red Sox, so a little revenge there. But again, I can't mess with going against Rodriguez. And remember, this is only a semi-home game for Tampa because the majority of the crowd tonight will be wearing Red Sox jerseys.
You look at Tampa, and they're only hitting .239 their last 10 days compared to .268 for Boston. You talked about Rodriguez's 15-5 record. You wouldn't expect a 15-5 record with a 4.34 ERA and a 1.30 WHIP, but I'll tell you what, that's the reason they're also 15-4-1 to the over when he starts.
Yep.
One other number for Rodriguez for you. In nighttime starts this year, the Red Sox are 14-2. So a couple of those losses, 2 out of 3 losses, were in daytime action. Beeks, as you mentioned, made 1 start last year, got hit early and left that game. Beeks, again, is a lefty, though, and Boston is only 12-16 against lefties this year with an average line of 166. So if you faded Boston against lefties, you've made some money.
Admittedly, there's a lot of luck with Eduardo Rodriguez. I mean, he's not a bad pitcher. I'm not saying he's a stiff or anything like that. But he's the 3 or 4 on the Red Sox, probably the 4. But they keep winning when he starts. And the team knows it, too. They might not know the exact numbers like we do, but they know that when he shows up, they generally win the game. So it's something that even if it's kind of a fluky stat, and I think 34-9 for 2 years is a fluky stat. You do have to weigh it into your handicap in the game because, luck or not, there's something to it.
The Indians had a few pitchers like that a couple years ago. Kluber would get no run support.
Yep.
I mean, it was like
DeGrom
type numbers. And then the next guy, Bauer, would start. This was like 2 years ago, and Bauer would get 8 runs a game. So, I don't know. Is it contagious? Do they know? Do they have that feeling when he walks out there? We've got this. We're used to standing there and having a win and him going. He goes. He's been lasting 6 or 7 innings, so he's kept them in there, giving up 2 or 3 runs, and that's the game. And Boston's won those games. So again, a new starter. I can't play the Rays, and the way the Rays are batting against the Red Sox. If you're going to play anyone, to me, it's Boston, and Boston on the run line hasn't been a bad prop recently. Let me rephrase that. They're 8-8, their last 20 on the run line. So I was looking at the wrong number. So a 50-50 prop on the run line.
Ralph talked about the Cubs and their woes as a small road favorite in the Joe's Angle of the Day. Now let's look a little more at the matchup tonight in San Francisco as the Cubs take on the amazing Giants, and they are amazing. They're back to 500. Another walk-off win yesterday in extra innings as Mike Yastrzemski. Yes, comes through for the Giants and for me. I had the Giants in that game and feel fortunate to have pulled it out because they squandered a lot of scoring opportunities in the game. And, when you get to extra innings, it's a coin flip, so you either get lucky or you don't. I got lucky in this case. The Giants have been playing great baseball. Since the beginning of June, they've been, I think, the most profitable team in baseball. But one thing we're starting to see now, the Giants' offense, and if you look at their lineup, it's really not very good. The Giants' offense is starting to struggle again. They were hard-pressed to score runs this weekend against the Mets. They managed to get out of there, winning the series, but it wasn't easy. And they're going to need to score some runs if they want to be successful in this series against the Cubs, because the Cubs can hit. And let's just say Sean Anderson, while he's shown some promise as a rookie, he's been hit kind of hard. So the Giants are going to have to find a way to get some runs tonight against Alec Mills. I don't know if I can count on that.
Sean Anderson hasn't got out of the sixth. It hasn't made it past 6 innings his last 4 starts. So perhaps we're seeing some of that rookie regression later on in the year. His last couple starts, 4 innings, 5 innings, 4 2/3 innings. He's given up at least 4 earned runs in each of those games. The Giants, as you mentioned, on the season, one of the poorest hitting teams at 236. Their last 10 days, they were hitting 278, but bring back the last 5 days down to 249. So they went through that stretch, but part of that stretch was 21 hits and 14 hits and 18 hits in those Rocky series.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, that's going to bump up your average. So you have to take the Giants' offense with an asterisk, and if you take out those Colorado numbers, they're a very mediocre team at best. To me, this is a pass for me. I didn't find value in either game. Alex Mills, with 1 start on the year, and again,
he wasn't bad.
Yeah,
but it's 1 start.
1 start, 6 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits. 5 hits, though. I mean, 5 hits on 3 runs with 1 home run.
Yeah,
so
that's not bad.
it wasn't a 6-1 strikeout walk ratio, but I didn't find value on either side or total in this game for me.
The big game tonight, I really do think it is the marquee matchup. Could be a preview of what we'll see in the American League playoffs. Yankees and Twins, that's coming up next.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
Dave Cokin with John Lyons from Lyons Physical Therapy. So give me a rundown on maybe a typical treatment at LPT.
Sure, Dave. On an initial consult, we'll sit down with the patient for at least 10 or 15 minutes, get a history of their injury or their condition. Then we'll move into an assessment where we put our hands on the patient, take them through a few special tests to identify what the pain source is and what the actual injury is. Then we'll use some modalities like heat and electric stimulation to reduce their pain and muscle spasms. And typically our physical therapist or assistant will do some type of manual stretching, massage therapy, or range of motion on that patient. And after the initial visit, we typically see patients 2 to 3 times a week for 4 to 6 weeks.
LionsPTLV.com, 702-476-0222. With Cliff Miller from MJ Christensen Diamonds, William Henry Collectibles.
Incredible. All one-of-a-kind pieces.